How's it
Hello.
going, Alex?
Pretty good.
Good, good. Have you been able to figure out leverage for that
No,
other?
I haven't been able to figure that out. I was wondering if is there like a good thing to read, or do you have advice on, because I do know that other realtors have. I don't know any personally who use a virtual assistant, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure what I would have them do.
so
Uh
much. Lizelle, will you send Alex a copy of the VA duties list? I may even have it up here. So I've got a whole process for it that I've created, and I'm going to share the VA duties list.
because I
Share.
I think that would make a big difference.
Yeah, so here's how I normally roll. I'm gonna say it real quick because we got to get started. Where's your thing, Alex? So Alexander King, it's gonna be in your email box. Share. I just shared a VA duties list of things they can do.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. You look beautiful, Miss Liz. We're gonna give everyone 1 more minute. So if anyone is looking for a VA or to get leverage, here's how I recommend you do it. You can text one of us, not me preferably, and ask one of the other girls. They'll put all their numbers in the chat to send you a copy of the VA duties list. Then it's a whole bunch of things that a VA can do. And so companies, I prefer not going through companies because what happens is
Yes.
they pay them, we pay the company 10 and they give them 3. There's advantages to that, but I just hire direct. I never recommend that you sign a contract for it at all, period. It should be piecemeal work, right? I don't have a contract with my girls, right? And I started them off at about, like Juliet, when I started with her 4 years ago, I said, all I can guarantee you is 5 hours a week because I know I could train and supervise her for 5 hours a week, be there for her, right? Because the biggest thing happens, people hire leverage and they fire them, right? Because they don't know what to do with them. They didn't realize they had to train them and manage them and all these things. I can't tell you how many top producers I've coached were like, yeah, I'm not getting leverage again. That didn't work. And I'm like, well, what happened? Well, I didn't know what to do with them and I fired them. I let them go. I paid for them and I didn't get them doing anything. So I would want you to highlight everything on that VA duties list that you could be getting done. And once you're ready, we've got a spreadsheet of people that have raised their hand. They're just like, they're from the Philippines in these VA groups. I've not vetted them, right? I can't speak for them, but I recommend that you test each one out that you do for like 2 hours, 2 hours a day or 2 hours a week. Like I just had my clients, a team I coach, Alex and Brooke, they're going to hire them to do property searches, set up people on a property search. He goes, it's going to take me 30 seconds to train them on how to do it. And then we're going to have them do it for 2 hours. If they do well, we're going to let them go project based for as long as it takes, up to 8 hours a day. You choose if they're going to work with you on Zoom, which I do require because I need my girls here, right? If someone's going to be out for extended period of time for any reason, I can have them do other type of work where I don't need them here with me. So start off slow, 2 hours a week. Juliet and started at 5 and we built up from there. Have them work with you on Zoom. Unless it's definitely project based, they can do content creation. They can do all kinds of things. And then if you're going to hire full-time, we recommend you do what's called a 30, 60, 90, which is what do they need to accomplish in 30 days? Here's the goal. And then their job, you give them that form and you say, okay, you need to make an appointment with me. Go ahead and get it on my calendar now for 30 days. This is where I want you to hand me this form and it should all be checked off. Please don't come to that meeting with it half done or saying I couldn't do it because I didn't know how. Ask along the way. It's your job to self-manage and make sure you're able to do all this and ask me for what you need, right? That way it's no excuses, right? They come to that meeting and either it's all checked off and they've met all the requirements or they haven't. And then you give them the next 60 days and then the next 60 all the way up to 90. And some of my clients, we just keep doing it because the positions are growing. So you can start with an admin virtual for 2 hours a day or week, work up to the point where they're full time, then work up to the point where they're the managing VA, right? Or the director of ops, and they're documenting all of your systems, everything you do, everything they do, and they're training the next person. That way for the next person, if anyone leaves, it's all written down. Well, how do I manage your YouTube channel? Go to section 32A, page 57. That will tell you step by step how to do everything. And so Bree and I are going to be teaching a systems class in the fall, where we have got systems for everything, just so many, or playbooks. And we're going to be meeting with people, I think we said every other week, to have you do the work to get your systems into place, contract to close. What do you do to meet someone from the day you meet them and say they're not ready to buy or sell, but you've met them and you got your contact information? What do you do? Do you send them a text the next morning, say, hey, great to meet you? Do you send them a video text the next morning? Do you send them a card? Do you put them in the drip system? Do you invite them to events? What about people that you met and who are ready? What do you do all the way up into getting ready for the listing appointment? It's a set of things you do. Because what happens is, you can see right here, and this is perfectly that we're going into this, Alex, so thank you. If you're not systematized when you start getting busy, what are we doing? We're juggling.
Yeah.
We're dropping balls. We don't know where we're going, who's doing what, where we're at. We're totally, yes, Chad, your soon to be hired VA can join that call. Yes. And that's the deal, right? So, and that's a good idea. And I'll talk to Bree, but I'm pretty sure what we'll do is, if we'll let the agent and their VA come together, right? And you could even hire them just for that class, right? For 2 hours, but never hire them full-time. You'll get overwhelmed, right? You can get up to full-time. Juliet and I were full-time within 2-3 months, right? But I wasn't under the pressure of going, how do I keep her busy? And I can't tell you how many clients I've met where they let the money go out the window. They paid them for nothing because they were under contract and they weren't ready. So we got a whole list of people you can choose from. You could go through a company. We got some very good companies if you want to go through a company. But that company will also tell you how you handle your employees, what days they get off paid and not paid and stuff like that. But we can help you with that as well. We weren't formalized in the beginning. I'm like, Juliet, you need time off? Tell me you need time off. Okay. All right. But we're starting to formalize things. So we can help you with all that. And the systems class will be ongoing. And we'll do, depending on how fast the class moves, because the idea is we give you the cookie cutter system, we go over it, and you customize it to fit you. Because if you're not going to send out a video text, you want to change it to text them. And you even put the verbiage down. Hey, great to meet you. Would love to invite you to one of my events coming up, or whatever it is. So it's plug and play. So ultimately, it doesn't even have to be you texting them. It can be your leverage. Cool? All right, party people, 3 C's, give them to me. What's the first thing? How we start everyone. What is it, Bree?
Clear your calculator.
Clear the calculator. So one by one, how many tabs do you have open, Jocelyn? Chad, right? Clear the calculator. Means close your tabs unless someone's about to die. Jocelyn, you're all right, honey. She probably texted me. And by the way, Stephen is at a family thing, and he's going to be calling in on his way home. I gave him permission, right? Because that wasn't avoidable. It has to do with the kids. So I said he can come in and be off camera. So, and if you have to have that, just let me know, right? So clear the calculator means signs on the door. No one's going to be knocking, right? The phone is on do not disturb. It's upside down in a drawer, right? Because I can see, and here's the deal. We're going to talk about what the value of your client is, lifetime value of your client, a client, and how you show up here is how you show up everywhere. That used to piss me off when people said that to me. You wouldn't believe what was going on in my head. I'm like, man. But then I got it, right? Because if I'm in a meeting and I'm doing this and I'm distracted, I am probably checking that out when I'm with clients, right? Or with my kids or with my significant other. And how disrespectful is that to them? You're not present. You're just there. Met with another client who's just evolving like crazy. I said, our job here on this earth, if we're born at a level 1 into the evolution of who we're created to be, and we die, leave this lifetime at a level 10, being fully evolved into the person you were created to be, where are you at today? Where are you today on that scale? And this particular client is at an 8. He was at a 2 when I met him a year and a half ago. And he came on board because he noticed his wife changing. I said, I want what you have. So mindset's a big piece of it. You get to choose, right? And we'll talk about the lifetime value of a client. And are you showing up having that as if you're ready for a $150,000 conversation? Or are you showing up in your pajamas on the couch? All right, so big difference. How you show up here is how you show up here. All right, so clear, no tabs open, phone off, and then let's just close our eyes and get rid of all the garbage, all the shiitake. So take a couple deep breaths, inhaling all that is good. Exhaling all the shiitake, all the BS of the day, all the stressors, get it out of the body. Slowing down into the rhythm of life as you inhale. Imagine that white light coming up through your body, cleansing and clearing. Exhale, breathe, and relax. One more deep breath, slowing down, focusing on that breath, inhaling all that is good, all the guidance, wisdom, exhaling anything that doesn't serve you. And open your eyes in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's rock and roll, friends. So we've got some big celebrations today, friends. Where is my, here we go. Big celebrations. So 2 truths and a lie. Oh, is this person here? Angela, are you here? Angela's not here. It was her birthday yesterday. So we're going to sing happy birthday if she does come in. I don't know if I got a text, but I'm not checking it because I don't let you guys do it. Sometimes I'll get a text right before. All right. So Heath, you were in the hot seat, brother. All right. So 2 truths and a lie. He graduated college, summa cum laude, with a 4.3 GPA. He has performed on stage in front of over 3,000 people. And I once recorded 7 stacks in one football game as an outside linebacker. Sacks, not stacks. I once recorded 7 sacks in one football game as an outside linebacker. Number 1, I graduated college, summa cum laude with a 4.3. Number 2, I said them backwards. Number 2 is I performed on stage in front of 300. And number 3, I once recorded 7 sacks in a football game. Which one is the lie? We got all over the place. Which one's the lie, Heath?
I was on stage in front of over 3,500 people, and I am not that smart. I barely graduated college, but I still have the certificate that says I did it. So there we go.
Right on. So what were you performing for? What was that?
Various things. I was in theater.
You guys have seen the movie The Full Monty, right?
I did the live version of that. No. I got to MC several events in college, so that put me on stage in front of several people. Anyway, I majored in talking.
That's good.
I always tell people I got a BS in talking.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. So, and we've got some great celebrations here. So over 90K. Good job, Bree, Chad, Charles, Joanna, Casey, Kristen, RJ, Stephen, Sue. Over 56K, which is where you should be, is Liz, Ryan, Tammy. And so close, we're almost there. And maybe they're not updated, Gina and Angela, right on. And then the top 2, let's see. Sue is at 94%. I think that's on the action items. And Gina is at 72% on the action items, 34 out of 47. So I'm curious, tell me what's going on with the action items. We've got that summary sheet, and I'm going to share my screen and pull it up. Do we not pay attention to it? Put in the chat. Too much, going too fast, can't keep up. I'm getting busy. I'm dropping the ball. What are action items? Like what is going on with that? I'm gonna share my screen and show you what we're referring to. Do you guys go to this sheet every week? And fill out, your names are at the top. So put in the chat for me. And you notice that they go, this is also in the Facebook group. We changed the action items, so this is what you're seeing every week, right? So put in the chat for me. Yeah. Having life. Yep. Getting busy. Yep. Getting busy. Yep. Getting busy. Brie, I tend to forget. Right. And the truth is getting busy is a real thing. Right. So those VAs will get you the information if you want it and you're ready, but do not hire them full time. I'm telling you, it can be a nightmare and take on a life of its own. You guys, we've done this 1,000 times and I'm on my 3rd VA, right? Slow and steady wins the race. All right. So I want you to put in the chat for me, what you feel out of all the things in your 90K business plan, what are you being the most intentional about? And it cannot be servicing current business, because I know you guys do that anyways, right? Of all the things in the 90K program, what are you being the most intentional about? So you're more, look at your 90K business plan. Is it your morning routine? Is it showing up at the same time? Is it your R&B? Is it your lead follow-up? Is it tracking? Is it your nighttime routine? Is it your end of day? Morning and night. I love that. Morning and morning routine. I tell you what, I'm proud of you guys, because that is a game changer. As you get busy, if you don't have this screwed on straight and set on a good foundation, boom, you're off. So Randy, welcome Randy. Randy and Jocelyn are together. And he's going to be visiting us. They're business partners and she's having a hard time keeping up. So Randy's going to pick up some slack for her. All right, you guys. So working on attracting new business and follow up. Good job, Kristen. So tell me, Kristen, unmute yourself, sister. So working on attracting new business and follow up. So the 3 lead gen activities that you chose at the very, very beginning, what were they?
Honestly, I don't remember. I started.
Did you change it?
Well, I signed on with this new company as a trial thing to get some leads. And sorry, my allergies are bad. And I have gotten some leads from them. I actually made contact with one of the 8 that I've gotten over the last week. As prospects, and it looks like there's a couple listing leads and stuff in there. So I've been putting together packets, and I'm actually today going to be working on putting together that preliminary, that focus first review thing, put a little packet together and send that out to them.
Yeah. So as far as 3 things that you do every day for lead gen, so if they're giving you the leads, that's really lead follow-up.
Yeah, technically,
yeah, if they're giving you leads, that's lead follow-up. You're servicing your current business, but what are you doing to go fishing, right? To do the R&B within your sphere and what you already have.
Yeah, it's just the networking and social media stuff that I've been doing all along.
Okay, so are those still the three things in your plan? Do you want to pull it up for us?
Yeah, sure.
So,
I don't
and by
remember
the way,
exactly how I
if
worked
anyone here realizes, so popcorn style, if you realize that one of your R&B activities is not your jam or not working for you, or you're not, whatever it is, and you want to change it, you change it, right? We always are reassessing. You have to do something long enough to see if it works. And for touching your sphere, that's a long time, right? To get that boat rolling. Right. But if one of your things is posting social media content and it hasn't worked for you in a year, then you need to change it. Right? Do you have that up, Kristen?
Oh, sorry.
So the next thing I want you to put in the chat is fill in the blank and just do it with a comma before the 90K, because 90K is all about intentional. It's not about a magic sauce. It's about deciding who you're going to be, how you're going to show up, and what you're going to do day after day after day. It's deciding that you're committed to your goals. Remember at the very beginning, we talked about the commitment ladder. When you met your sweetheart, did you say you hoped you would be faithful? Or were you committed to be faithful? Did you say you wanted to be faithful, or were you committed? This is no different. Let's go to your dashboard, babe.
I find get this far out of the way.
Middle tab.
I can't get to the tab. My bar's in the way here.
You can just click on the bar and drag it out of the way.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go. So bulletproof your day. So we've got bulletproof your financial future. This is your daily R&B activities. So these 3 things: you're sending up follow, email, video, text to all unanswered dials. You're dialing 5 to 10 dials, 5 to 10 texts, and doing these note cards and these video texts. And we see that we're not doing that, right?
Yeah. Well, this last week was a rough week. I had my allergies
That's
were
okay.
really bad, and
That's all right. No,
Wednesday
we
to
don't want to
Friday.
go over that, right? We just want to figure out what the plan is for next week.
Yeah.
Right. So don't look in the rear view mirror, right? With what went wrong, we need to figure out what we can do better. And you are crushing it, by the way. So, all right, you can stop sharing. So in the chat, if this is all about being intentional and deciding each week what our week is going to look like next week and what we're going to do, how we're going to show up, who we're going to be in the 3 R&B activities we're going to do. And intentional with your night program, your morning program, how you show up at work, what time you show up, clearing the calculator, all those things. I want you to put in the chat the before and after. So fill in the blank. Before the 90K, I was blank. 90K causing me to be blank. It could be more intentional with, could be to show up differently. It could be more organized. It could be busier or less busy, less scattered, doing my R&B more consistently than I ever have. I've had people tell me before, I've never done R&B. I've never contacted my sphere. I've never made one phone call, right? When you're touching people, doing the old Facebook poke, being in the way for good things to happen, right? Oh, I love that, Alex. You were clueless and panicky, and now you're aware and moving towards being organized. Yep. Liz, I assume that didn't have a plan. Now I have a plan. Yeah. Is that what you meant, Liz? Yeah, that's beautiful. Organizing my calendar has been life-changing. Time blocking each day. It is a game changer. And does it suck to get used to it? Yeah, I mean, it does, you guys. But once you master it, and it doesn't control you, you control it, right? My own coach has even coached me in the past going, well, Monica, who says you got to work till 5? The dog? No, I don't have to do anything. I get to decide. I get to decide what time I'm showing up and what time I'm getting my butt to the gym to take care of myself. And other people say, Monica, why don't you go for a walk during the middle of the day? I'm thinking about it because I do sit here for a long time, taking 15 minutes out just to go. I get to decide. You guys get to decide. I know in real estate, we always say the clients control our schedule. I'm going to call BS on that, friends. Not if you have healthy boundaries, right? More focused. Good job. Now than I was before. Doing more self-care, right on, because we're scheduling it in. Love that. More intentional with the night routine. Excellent, you guys. Good job. Fabulous. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of mindset. The 6 personal perspectives that we've gone over in the past. I'm just going to review them really quick. Committing to self-mastery was one of them. That's committing to self-improvement, personal growth, becoming the best version of you. That's a personal perspective we covered. We covered the 80-20 principle. 80% of your results come from 20% of what you do. We talked about changing our mindset from being the employee to the professional, right? I hate to say it, but if a lot of us were employees, we probably wouldn't have a job, because R&B is something you would have to do every single day. Every single day. If your job is as a telemarketer or a call center, what if you decided I'm not going to take any calls today? I'm not going to call any of those customers back. I'm not going to return my boss's phone. You wouldn't have a job. And what I've got for today really drives that home. Being accountable was another personal perspective. That was number 4, right? Taking responsibility for your results, right? And that goes back to reasons or results. Someone give me an example, unmute. What's a reason or an excuse versus results? Anybody, come on.
Do or not do, there is no try.
It really is, right? And are there exceptions to that? Yeah, I'm not a hard ass, right? There's going to be exceptions, right? You know, like if someone calls it, well, you know, my daughter had to have an MRI or this, is that, that doesn't apply here, right? That is a necessity, right? God, family, business is the way we roll, right? But if someone says, well, I had my annual cleaning with my dentist, is that a reason or a result? And you set it for 10 o'clock in the morning. Come on, Joanna, give it to me. Is that a reason or a result?
I mean, that's an excuse.
It
Yeah,
is
I
an
was just
excuse.
about to say that. That's an excuse.
Yeah.
Like if we've already blocked out Tuesdays from 11 to 12:30
Yeah.
every week, that's
I
certainly
don't
something
make
that you
nail
can-
appointments. I don't make hair appointments. I don't make dentist appointments. Even my dog grooming appointment, I drop him off at 8:30 in the morning. And then I will go to a Starbucks and I will work until he's ready and I'll take a break to drive home. But nothing is getting in the way of my calendar. And so many people are like, oh, well, I got a hair appointment. I cringe when I see hair appointments in the middle of the day. Are you allowed to do that if you have a JOB? No, you got to make it afterwards. And I tell you what, when you ask them, like my hairdresser will say, well, we got something at 2 on Wednesday. And I'm like, no, what do you have on Friday after 2? Because Fridays I usually end early, right? Or what do you have Thursday evening, right? Maybe I'll end my day a little bit earlier, but I'm not going to do it during my day. I need to get my stuff done. The other one was building habits of prosperity we talked about. And then we talked about thinking like the millionaire real estate agent. So the next thing I want to talk about is acquiring the wisdom of big picture thinking. And this is from How Successful People Think from John Maxwell. Who knows who that is? John Maxwell. You know who he is? By the way, he's writing the foreword to my book. Did I guys show you on my vision board? Have it here. Oh, it fell down. He's already agreed to do it. So remember, what you think about, you bring about. This is big vision thinking, right? His name is down here, forwarded by, oh no, that's John Maxwell. Sorry. Wrong person. Jack Canfield. Maxwell didn't do it. Jack Canfield did. So, but the bottom line is big picture thinking. So, and I wrote this down. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Wait, so is John Maxwell not doing your book?
No, Jack Canfield. Sorry. Different person. Yeah, he's not. Although maybe I'm going to put him on next. That was a Freudian slip.
Yeah. What you think about, you bring about.
Amen. Amen. All right. Who wants to read that for me? Skill 1, acquire the wisdom. All the way
Acquire
until
the wisdom of big picture thinking. Successful people think beyond immediate circumstances and focus on long-term goals and objectives. They have a vision and work towards it consistently. Who is doing this? How will
Stop
this
there.
way of thinking change your commitment to R and B, relationship and building, and not allowing anything to take precedence?
Yeah. So think about that. The big picture thinking, when you decide that today you're going to do a dentist appointment, tomorrow you don't want to call people, and the next day you let a buyer make an appointment in the morning, and then the next day you're going to do it. And so you never, is that big picture thinking? Yeah, it's not. Because, and I always use the example, I didn't get chubby by eating one cheeseburger, because that was the funniest thing I ever heard. All right, I didn't get fit, but I don't eat cheeseburgers, by the way. I didn't get fit by going to the gym once. Right? So how do we implement big picture thinking into our everyday, friends? Right? Instead of making excuses why I didn't do it today and why I didn't do it today. Gary Keller says nothing takes precedence over bringing in new business, not even current business. So key, and I'm just gonna call people out. So we're gonna go Key, Minta, and then Liz. Key, Minta, Liz. Unmute for us. If you look back on the last week, what took precedence over your R&B? Unless you did it at 100%, which was the goal, those three things at 100%, what took precedence?
I did most of mine, but my son is getting married, and so there was a lot of pre-wedding stuff. He's getting married in a month, so we had a lot of bridal shower planning and that kind of stuff this week. And also just current business. It's great to be busy, but it does take your time.
It does, right? And maybe we need to talk about leverage, right? And your son works with you, yes?
Some, yeah, he does. And it's interesting that you said that Gary Keller said that, because that goes against like everything. It goes against every fiber of my being, because I'm a nurturer. I like serving people. And so if I have someone in front of me that is my client, it's current business, my mentality is I got to take care of them first. They are number one.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around.
Let's have her reframe that. What's a different way she can look at it? Key, go ahead.
I can help you with that because I feel the same way. I mean, we work really hard to get this business.
Yeah.
And for me, I can navigate the contract, but it really matters to me how they feel on the other side of it. And that maybe requires meeting them where they are, when they are. And I guess all that means is I have to find my R and B time somewhere else. And it may not be a straight 2 hours, but it's got to get done. So it's almost easier to account for that by numbers of calls as opposed to hours in a day.
Okay.
That's a
Does that
great
make sense?
reframe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's certainly a different perspective, right? So what other kind of professions have clients and need to get people in the door as well? How about chiropractors? Same thing. They set aside the time. So they let their clients know when they've got the openings and the availability, and they've got to see them face to face. That could be another perspective, right? Do you think that a client, if you had the conversation in the very, very beginning, so Liz, have you, with new clients that are signing, have you used the verbiage that, look, Liz, when I'm with you, you've got 100% of my attention. I'm not going to be scrolling. I'm not going to be texting. I'm zeroed in on you. Is that okay?
To an extent, yes.
Okay. What is
I mean,
that?
I guess I give kind of a watered down version. And I need to get better at that because I forget.
Okay.
So yeah.
what happened then? And I appreciate the honesty, because we give out so much information in this. There is no way you
It's
can
a lot.
remember it all. And I've
Yeah.
slowed down, right? Because trying to meet everybody where they're at, because there is a lot, right? And a lot of people rinse and repeat. And it never looks the same. Just because, like, I've added in stuff with the NAR and the Focus First and stuff like that. We're always getting better. And so the idea is, if we do start to say that, and then we get their permission to be with them, fully present with them, then we say, great, because that's the level of customer service I give. I want you to feel 100% special, right? Because you're that important to me. And I do that with my other clients as well. So is it okay with you if I'm with them that I let your call go to voicemail? right? And I'll call you as soon as I'm out of the meeting. They're always going to say yes. And if you're in a transaction where you know you got to communicate with them, is there anything wrong with maybe your RMB doesn't start till 9:30, maybe it's 9:30 to 11:30, maybe from 9 to 9:30, you're looking at your current business and texting all those people saying, I'm about to go into the meeting, but I'm going to reach out to you this afternoon. Would that change it?
I think for me, it would certainly help.
Okay, let's throw out more. Let's like beat this to death, right? Because you're not the only one that thinks this way, Liz. I don't think there's anybody in the room. I could call on anybody here, and there's always going to be things that we allow to take precedence. But the truth is, you'll never, ever, ever get off that dang roller coaster, and I don't want that for you guys. I know how stressful that is, right? And I'm like, oh my God, that is painful to see the numbers go down, to see the income go down, then to see the bank account go down. Then we're panicking. Then we're operating out of fear and scarcity. And that's not a fun place to operate.
Then it's tax time.
Yes. By the way, with tax time, put in the chat for me, yes or no. Do you have a tax savings account that you put 20 to 30% in every paycheck? Yes or no? Good, good, good. When I started doing that years ago, what a relief, because I only had to get one like 30,000 tax bill to go into a complete panic. But what I did find out is the IRS people are actually very nice. They set up a payment plan for me, and the guy's like, well, what can you afford? And I gave him an amount. He's like, are you sure? Why don't we take it down to this amount? I'm like, oh my God, you're an IRS agent. They're totally nice. If you run and hide for them, not so much. Just talk to them, right? So back on track. Good job, you guys. That's awesome. So what are some of the other thoughts? Let's contribute to what Liz was saying that you guys have. So Heath, what thoughts do you have about just making that decision that nothing is going to take precedent over you putting food on the table for yourself and your family and your loved ones and paying the bills? Because that's really the decision we're making, right?
Yeah, I don't think, I'm not sure how to answer that. Yeah, I think blocking out my calendars helped me frame my day and knowing that I don't have, there's no guesswork and like, okay, what am I supposed to do? What? Because I was feeling pretty overwhelmed walking into this and then walking right into this class and then like, okay. And so still trying to put some things together, obviously, but framing my day so I'm not at least just sitting at my desk going, okay, I know I need to be doing something, but what should I do now? And what, so kind of prioritizing those time blocks on what needs to be done and then filling in the blanks there and then still spinning my wheels a little bit during some of that time because it's new, right? So, but it's getting better. It's getting better.
100%. And if you follow your 90K roadmap, that tells you how to run your day. There's nothing missing in there. Setting the time blocks according to that, right? That's two things where you're double verifying that you're on track doing what you need to do. So Heath, with that question, what were the things that took precedent this past week over doing your RMB at a level 10? 100%.
I am still finding my way as far as making those calls to the, I don't have a database, just like people I know, right? So using my contacts list and working through, Chad's been a great resource helping me kind of sort through, you know, some people just let's delete these names off of here.
But what got in the way? So did you do that? Like is working through them for 2 to 4 hours a day? Okay. So nothing got in the way. No excuses this week?
I mean, yeah, I don't know that I spent 8 hours a day working on it, but life, family.
2 to 4.
Sure.
Right. If you don't have business, it should be 4. Right. If you got business, minimum of 2. That's kind of the rule of thumb. Everyone else put in what got in the way, just one word of each thing. Whether it was company, weddings, doctor appointments, really looking at your calendar and saying, okay, what did I do instead? Unless you did it at 100%. And if you did it at 100%, which we tagged you in the 90K group. So Key, you're saying current business took place over it? Okay. In hindsight, what would have happened? Was it a true emergency that could not wait to the afternoon, or could you not flip it and do current business in the morning and lead gen in the afternoon? Or did you do your lead gen backup plan?
I did the lead gen, but not by the consecutive minutes of 120 minutes in a row.
I don't care about that.
But so that's the 2
Yeah.
hours. I just don't
Yeah.
think the 9 to 11 is practical for me. It seems really hard to do. But to get that lead gen in, I believe that's critical. It just doesn't
Good
always
job.
get done between 9:30 and 11:30.
And that's fine.
I know.
Remember,
Yeah.
I love that because it goes to replace, right? It's the point is to get it on the calendar from 9 to 11.
Sometimes
And
it's a few
then-
calls while I'm in the car. and-
Yes,
Which
perfect.
then it
Walk and
gets done.
talk. On the way to the gym, make 2. On the way to the grocery store, make another one, right? The idea is to get it done, no matter what it takes.
That's a slippery slope, though. I mean, that can be super hard to be intentional about that.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you're not always going to go to the grocery store. You're not always going to be going to the
Yeah.
gym and saying, unless it's part of your calendar that says, okay, I've got a 45 minute to my gym. So I know I'm going to the gym from 9 to 10. So for 45 minutes, I'm going to make these X number of calls because that's part of your plan. But
Yep.
I mean, I think that's also dangerous to
Agreed.
just kind of haphazardly say, like, I'm going to squeeze it in here
Oh, no,
somewhere.
I agree. No, that's very dangerous. Do not do that. I am saying, put it on the calendar, 9 to 11, period, end of story. And then if you realize it cannot happen that way, you still have your call list because you did your end of week planning. So you got your call list in front of you and you're taking it with you. And by the end of the day, it's done. If you're finishing dinner, doing dishes and making calls, it's done. Or your lead gen backup plan. Everyone here has a lead gen backup, R&B backup plan, right? You didn't get to, you committed to 50 calls during the week, didn't get it done. Guess what? Your backup plan probably means Saturday or Friday night. So I need everyone to put at least one thing in because no, I don't think anyone here did it 100%. One thing in. I only see Key putting in one thing. What's one thing that took precedent over your R&B? Liz said son's wedding. Yep. Joanna missed R&B and it was an issue with school that couldn't wait. Okay, so that's a kid. So again, God, family, business, right? Kristen, what you got? Long broker classes. Yeah. Sick. Illness. That's God, family. You are your family, right? What I don't want to see is, I got stuck into a movie or I just kept, right, previewing houses or Lynn's like movies during the day. I've done that since I was a teenager. All right, we got to move along, you guys. So that line of thinking, acquiring the wisdom of big picture thinking. So how can you apply that? Someone unmute and tell me, with your commitment to R&B, how does that change? If you adapt big picture thinking, how does that change your commitment of either doing it every day or doing your backup plan for R&B? Top producers didn't become top producers by doing R&B once a week. People who stay off that income roller coaster of doing the thing to get the business in the door, then saying I'm busy, and working on that business instead of the R&B. Right? They stay off the roller coaster, the other squirrel time. That's a big one, right? Okay. So accountability. So Bree, Key, Alex, Kristen, and Liz, you all committed to sending out real estate reviews. So put in the chat for me. That was our accountability for the week. Did you get 2 done this week? Yes or no? No. Alex, did you at least sign up for the trial?
Yeah, I signed up for the trial and watched one of their videos and then got caught up in current business. So, yeah, that's this week I need to do 2.
Right. Okay. So Alex is recommitting to 2. Kristen didn't, but you signed up for the trial. Doing reviews today. Right on. So 2 today, Kristen? Right on. Key, you got them done? Right on. What kind of problems did you encounter? Any troubles?
No trouble. I've done them before, so it wasn't super difficult. So I just knocked 2 out.
Okay, right on. Excellent. And Liz, if I said 2 weeks, I'm sorry. I'm a woman. It's my prerogative to change my mind. You got 1. Now you got 1 week to get her done, sister. All right, good job, you guys. Let's move along. So, for R&B, the people that are checking the boxes, there were 15 opportunities throughout last week to get your R&B done, right? Because it was the 3 things that everyone choose for their R&B, and there's 5 days, so that's 15 opportunities. RJ got 11 out of the 15. Sue got 15 out of the 15, and Key got 15 out of 15. Minta, 13. Megan, who's not here, 10. Liz got 15. Kristen, 8. Joanna, 7. Right on. Angela, 11. Good job, you guys. So that's huge, right? So we're watching that, right? And go into that Facebook group. We now took over the chore. So Ella is now posting your updates, and I'd hate to have them not cleaned up. And again, if your check boxes is not clearing, look at the video from the beginning. It's just not set up. You didn't follow the process. That's all, right? They should clear. You never have to do that crap manually. If you got problems, call one of us, not me, those guys. Because I don't know how to do it. I can figure it out. All right. So what is the lifetime value of a client? If we say, get out your pen and paper. If people on average buy, say, 1 home every 3 years, and they stay your client for 15 years, do the math on the lifetime value. So if your average GCI is 10K and they buy a home every 3 years and they stay with you for 15 years. So every 3 years for 15 years. What's your average lifetime? I see some confused faces. So 10K. Times every 3 years. 3 goes into 15, 5 times. What's that number? Put it in the chat for me. Yeah, 50K. So every conversation that you have, do you show up as if it's a 50K conversation? Right? And what does that look like? All right. And it goes back to how you show up here is how you show up everywhere. So I want you to keep that in mind. Every conversation is a minimum of a 50K conversation. Are you showing up at your best? Right? Are you giving value? The name of the game is changing a little bit, right? Because if you've noticed, fish are not just jumping in the boat. We have to do R&B. During COVID, I don't think anyone had to do R&B. Things are different. If you don't change with the times, can you imagine if fish start jumping in the boat because you've done your R&B and then you keep doing it and then you hire the right leverage so you can get your time back and you're taking care of yourself and you got boundaries? That's the magic formula, you guys. All right, so keep that lifetime value in front of you. Are you showing up at the level of your business plans? Right? Who here has, put yes or no? Have you ever set goals at the beginning of the year and then met them by the end of the year? How many times has that happened? 0, 1, 2, 3, 10 every year? Put something in the chat for me. Remember, we're looking at, are you showing up at the level of your business plans? So how many times have you hit your goal that you set at the beginning of the year? 2 to 3. Nice job. Over a lifetime, maybe 6. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think happens? Is it that we're not meeting because we're not showing up at the level we set them? We set some pretty high expectations when we set them, right? And those goals should be going up by a minimum of 10% every year. A lot of times when I meet my clients, I see their potential. We're like, are you okay with us doubling it this year? Because if you get it super intentional, there's no reason with someone leading you that you can't double it every year. If you want, there's going to be a cap, right? That only you can do with just yourself. But when you get the right leverage and the right people in place, and what I'd like to see is the couple hours a week for the VA, all the way up to full time, have them be the operations manager. They train the next person. You get showing agents, which are out of your training program at your market center. They're hungry. They got to look at homes and preview them. Brand new agents. Why not train them? Then they can become a buyer's agent. You give them all the buyer's deals on your team and you do all the listings, because that gives you your time back. We talked about that last week. What would have to change today for you to show up at the level of the plans and goals you set at the beginning of the year? If you could change one thing, if you had to change one thing, is it leverage so that you could do your R&B? Or is it just making R&B take precedence over everything, including current business? What is it for you? Let's see it in the chat, guys and girls. Good job, Randy. Yeah, discipline. And that almost comes down to deciding. Do you remember before the class, I said massive action? You've got to decide what you want and that you're going to show up differently in your life. And I want to share a couple of stories. And I've got permission to share the story. And this is the same people I've talked about before, where the husband came in and said, "When are you done with that, Monica?" You guys remember that? And I was like, oh shit, I'm about to be fired. And I'm like, what'd you say? I'm all scared in my head. She's like, never. Why? And he says, because I want what you have. Peace, showing up every day, on target, feeling good, feeling like you're in the zone. We decided that in the beginning, and I think we got to get back to it, right? So what does need to change? Consistency, discipline and consistency, they're critical, right? What is it going to take for you to make up your mind? Is it going to have to be one more roller coaster event? God, that sucks, you guys. I don't want that for anyone here. I felt it. I've been broke before, and man, that is not fun. Period. End of story. Not fun. Okay, so that's the lifetime value. And I think next week we're going to go over open houses. I want to share because again, we got to start doing something different. I am going to share what Key shared with me. This was so cool, Key, and thank you for sharing this. This is from the Buffini page, which most of us love Buffini. So can you still see it if I move it over to the side there? As a solo agent who built his business on lead generation and now is transitioning painfully away from 90% leads to 90% not leads, yet still managed to be 4th in their office and 29th in their company. That this is their take on success. Your brokerage doesn't matter nearly as much as people think. I would agree to that. You got to find the culture that works with you, because that's where the support's going to be. Right? Where is your support and lifeline? And speak your truth on what you need. When I was in leadership, with KW. I created a training program that fed every need. And that's how we got people to join the brokerage, right? Figure out what they need and give them the value. If you want to succeed, don't buy systems and stuff. I would say you got to get your systems done, right? But they're saying pay for a good coach who can help you, because the system and stuff can come later when you have confidence and know what to do, right? There's really no sense in creating systems if you're never going to be busy enough to do them. And in coaching, we help you create your systems. Your success or failure is 100% on you, not your broker, not your competitors, not your disloyal friends who went with another agent. It's you. Unless you're writing contracts, negotiating contracts, and closing contracts, you are unemployed. Right? Unemployed. That sucks. To fix that problem, you got to do two things. It's R&B and track it and follow up. So that's interesting. Is this not pretty much the three things I said I wanted you to nail over the past several weeks? If nothing else, it's that R&B, follow up, and your current business. And I love this. You're not in sales. Don't overcomplicate it. Build relationships so you can do this up here. This is funny. If you're going to do leads, for God's sake, have a plan. CRM automation isn't a plan. It's a tool, right? Schedule time for working your leads. Again, lead gen and lead follow-up are two different things. If you're paying for leads, I never recommend it. I get people off of paid leads because it's not necessary. And half the time they're not that great. And why pay for it if you've got bags and bags of money in your database and you're leaving it on the table? Goes back to the conversation we had a couple weeks ago. I said, who did I say this to? Alex, let me say it to you. Where do you live?
Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay. So Alex, if I said, by Friday, if you get to my office, I've got $100,000 on the desk in a bag. If you get it by Friday, it's yours. What's going to happen?
I will be there on time.
You're going to find a way to make it happen. Right. And I want, and I know it's a painful conversation to have, friends, but I care about you so much that we are leaving bags of money. And I used to have a stat, well, we heard the Walt Disney one. No one ever called him back. He could have made anyone's career. Don't make people feel like a number. Build those relationships. Give value. It's really easy if you do it authentically. Create events. I've got a whole calendar. One of my clients, one of my heavy hitters who runs a team, has got an event every month. That takes a lot. I don't recommend it, but she's a pillar of the community, right? If you guys checked out the Faces of, and you want to add that as one of your R&Bs, I'm telling you what, that guy has nailed it. He doubled his business in a year by connecting with his community. And he never asks. His card now says the Faces of. He's like, who do you know who is a veteran or has lived here the longest or is an elderly person or who ran the state championship? And he gives them a Google form and then prints the thing on them. And that thing is just taking a life of its own. If you want that recording, put in the chat. And it's a class we did with Brad where I interviewed him. All right, so we got to go through this. Don't forget open houses, but do them correctly. We're going to talk about that next week. There's a process to a good open house. There is a process, you guys, when I say that. What do you do before the open house to make sure you got people coming in, right? And there's different levels. There's something called a 7th level. I've never seen one do a 7th level. So I've created my own, and there's 5 levels to it. And it's making sure you got it set up for success. And we got systems for getting the advertising out and a system for doing a virtual open house right before your open house starts to get more views, get more exposure. It's poking people, knocking on doors before to let them know there's going to be more traffic in. What do you do during the open house? I wish Stephen could have made it today, but he's the one with the family appointment. He built his career on open houses. If you do them well, they work. Chad's people do 2 a week. But you got to do them right. And we're at 3 a week. Right on, Heath. We're going to be teaching that in the weeks to come. And what do you do after the fact? How do you make sure you get their right information? We've got all that coming in the weeks to come. All right, immediately start comparing yourself to other agents, right? Learn from them, but don't copy. Build your business authentically, right? One of my clients, one-on-ones, Brooke and Alex, they have an organization called Be a Nice Human. Check this out. They're out having a beer this past weekend with their Be a Nice Human t-shirts on. The couple next to them doing shots were talking real estate. What a fluke was that? Then they started talking to Alex, and then he found out they got 2 appointments with 2 realtors. What do you think the next thing he said? What would be the next thing you say? Put it in the chat. Yeah, we've got 2 appointments coming up with 2 different realtors. Put in the chat what you would say to that. Bye, Kristen. How about a third? Yep. Oh, let's just do it now. How about a third? I see. Yeah, right on. Next round is on me. Let me save you some time. I love it, you guys. That's exactly what he said. Exactly what he said. How about a third? Got the appointment. And we should drop this in. Does everybody here on listing appointments, do you ask for the signature? Do you ask, let's get going? Let's get this rolling? I found out when I interrogated reality, some people weren't doing that. That's why they weren't getting the deals, right? And what if they say, well, we're almost ready, but we've got another agent coming. We've got 1 more appointment. Someone unmute. What do you say to that?
I'm happy to call them for you.
Yeah. I'm happy to call and cancel that appointment. No, Liz, we keep our word. We definitely keep our word, and I can't cancel on them. What do you say next?
I've really never had anybody say that. I have a pretty good ratio of
Love
conversion.
it. Yep.
So-
Here's the deal. You want to be the last person out that door. Great. I understand that. And I really admire that you're a person, man or woman of your word, etc. When are they coming? Friday at 5. Great. Can I come by at 7 and wrap this up? Because guess what? They keep their appointments. You will be the last person. All right. Then his last thing was, and so authentically, right? What I mean by authentically, if you play pickleball, let's expand on that. If you go to church, let's expand on that. If you love volunteering, let's expand on that. If you're a pet lover, let's expand on that. There are so many ways to get business. The world is your oyster and it's out there. You just have to decide, right?
Monica,
Okay.
can you share that with us?
What part?
What you were reading, that book thing?
Yes. Yep.
Thank
So, and I'm going to have, yeah, so Juliet or Ella, will you share this with them? So time block the rest of your life. And then finally, if you don't know your value, it's going to be assigned to you. If you're an agent who works for X, then figure out why you're worth it and explain it, right? So I'm going to have them share that with you. Your worth and your value is huge, right? We talked about that in the NAR class. Your value proposition and giving them, we gave you all a list in that class of 100 things buyers agents do and 184 things listing agents do. Use it, put it in if you don't use a buyer's presentation, do it now. You've got to get it together. You haven't had to do it in the past. Stuff's changing. And all it is, it's changing because it's a different conversation. It's a different environment. So we figure out the new method. Showing your value, you overwhelm your clients with the complexity of what you do and you deliver simplicity. But I've got this. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, but you don't have to worry about that. I've got that. I do all this for you. Okay. All right. So let's go on to an activity that we've got for the group. I lied. Everyone take out your phones. Juliet, can you find a timer? Or, I'll just tell Alexa. Take out your phones, everybody. Randy, this includes you. For 5 minutes, you were going to text people that you've not spoken to in a year. For 5 minutes. Do you need to open your CRM to do that? We're not talking about a quality. It could just say, I've been terrible at keeping in touch. I would love to connect. How are you? It could be, I've got a great event coming up. I'd love to chat with you about it. It could be, I'm doing I do real estate reviews for all my people. I've already done yours. What else could it be? It's going to be easy peasy, simple. I've dropped the ball on keeping in touch. Would love to hear your updates. How are the kids? How are blah, blah, blah. Okay. Any questions? You got 5 minutes. Text as many people that you've not spoken to in a year. Ready?
I
Set,
thought you said 5 years and I was like,
go. Yep. Alexa, set a timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, starting now.
Doesn't have to be anything real estate. Just checking in. How are the kids? Would love to catch up. All right, finish up that text. Count how many you sent and put it in the chat for me.
I was in the zone. What was the question?
How many did you send out? Put the number in the chat. Good job. So I did that, and I got a confession. This recording won't go anywhere except for the people in here. I did that and I was like, okay. So I went through people that I coached in a KW program like over 5 years ago. Couldn't remember their faces. And guess who just hired me last week? I said, hey, yo, I'd love to hear your updates. All right. And then when I looked up notes, I'm like, I remember her, but that was after she responded. And she goes, oh my God, we formed a team. And are you still coaching? What are your current rates? I'm like, yes, I am, in fact. Right. So keep tabs on that. Next week, I'm going to want to know, right? How many? If people responded, don't make it mean anything. Half mine didn't respond. Who cares? Don't make it mean anything. It means they're busy and they forgot about it. Because I tell you what, I tell my people, and you've heard this at the beginning, if you ever text me, you don't get a reply that day, send me a question mark, which is, hey girl, hello. I counted one day before noon, I had like 52 texts. Right. So I don't, my phone's off, right, while I'm coaching. And at the end of the day, I try to catch up with them all, but I'm going to miss some, right? It's only human. Oh, Liz has been talking to people, so that's good. All right, you guys. So next week, come back with Juliet's going to keep those numbers. And come back with how many people replied and if any good news came out of any of them. And nothing needs to come out of it, right? But can you imagine if you just did that? That took 5 minutes. And so for Liz, right, if you're not able to get your R&B, right, because you're servicing current business, what if your lead gen backup plan is to send a text saying, you just crossed my mind. I was thinking about you. How's it going? What's up? Okay. Excellent. All right. Next week, we're going to release some people-pleasing fear of rejection and judgment. And it can be fear of anything, but typically in groups of agents, it's fear of rejection and judgment. So we're going to do what I call a test drive of your timeline. This is a quick meditation. We don't have time to release the whole thing. And this is part of the process that changed my life, you guys. It's called unconscious mind change work. If you think about it, you're born unapologetically you, right? You don't care who's talking about your cry face, how loud it is, how stinky the diaper is, or who's going to clean that up, right? You don't care because you've never been judged. You just show up perfectly as you were created. Then people start saying things to you. You can do better than that. Why can't you be like your brother? Right? Kids can be mean. You're fat. You're ugly. Parents can say things that kids misinterpret. Teachers can say things. All right. So that puts labels for you on your chalkboard. You're allowing other people to write on your chalkboard because no one ever told you don't allow that. right? So in this work, we're going to get a higher perspective that will allow you to learn different things about those scenarios. And I've never done this in group before. I'm gonna let that cat out of the bag right now. You guys are my experiment. I do this one-on-one with people, right? And I'll explain more of the process next week, but you have to be in a meditative state. What's a meditative state? When you're driving, who is, put yes or no in the chat. Have you ever driven somewhere, got there and going, holy hell, how did I get here? Right? You're there. You were safe. Your unconscious mind got you there. That's a meditation, right? You weren't fully present in the car. You're daydreaming. That's a meditation, you guys. That's what we're about to do. So take note if you're able to follow the instructions that I'm going to give you. So I need everyone to think of something that where they were at in the last week. Maybe it was Easter Sunday with people over. Maybe it was at church. Maybe it was a dinner or coffee you had with somebody. But it had to be an event, not big, that happened in the last week or month. So say got it in the chat if you got it. Make sure your phones are off because you can't be disturbed during this. It'll scare the living daylights out of you, right? Because you're really going inside your head. And if you start to wander off, notice that you're wandering off from the sound of my voice and come back to it and breathe. And this is just a test of your drive line. This is gonna be fun. This is not heavy. We're not gonna release anything today. I just want you to be able to get used to the process of meditating and floating above an event. Everyone's got their event. All right, close your eyes for me. It'll be fun, short, quick. Let's go ahead and slow down. Eyes closed. I'm gonna shake off everything, all the events of the day and the week. Take a deep breath. Inhaling, all is good. Holding it at the top and exhaling any thoughts, any concerns, stressors of the day or week. Another deep breath, really focusing on that breath moving through your body. Holding it at the top. Exhale, breathe, and relax. One more deep breath, clearing and cleansing, slowing down into the rhythm of life, focusing on that breath. Exhaling whatever doesn't serve you. I want you to float up in the air with your eyes closed, float out of your body and float right above now. Looking down on now, see yourself where you're sitting. Notice the chair you're sitting in. Notice how your hair is done. You see yourself in this picture as you're floating above you, floating above now. From this perspective, you can see the windows and the doors in the room. You can see the desk. You can see if it's cluttered or not. You can see everything in the room. You can also hear what's going on. You see your screen in front of you. You see you with your eyes closed. Hear what you hear, see what you see from above. Feel what you feel. Now we're going to jump in our rocket ship and we're going to go back in time to that event you just thought of. Whether it was yesterday or the day before, go all the way back till that event is down in front of you at a 45-degree angle. You can see the event that you just thought of. You see the people. Once you see the event, now move right above that event in your rocket ship, looking down on that event. Notice the people that are there, maybe what some of them are wearing. Notice if there's laughter, talking, chatter, food, worship, whatever it is. See what's going on. Hear what you heard. See what you saw. But looking from above, you see yourself in the picture with these other people. Feel those feelings. Good job. Now we're going to float out into the future. Float all the way into the future to tomorrow morning. Float above that event. looking down, seeing yourself at your start time in your office. Seeing yourself pull up your 90K plan and smiling because you know what you need to do. You know what you want to do. You're starting to get feelings of excitement because you know you're being true to your commitment, true to your word. You pull up your plan, you pull up your calendar, and you pull up your CRM and you close all other tabs. You take a moment and you get into the right state of mind, your circle of power. Looking down from above, you see yourself changing your state and getting into that state of mind where you're confident, more powerful than ever before. You see yourself pulling up your plan for those 2 hours of R&B. And as you're floating above this, you see you smiling on one end, and you can hear the smile on the other end for the people that are answering the phone. You can even feel when it goes to voicemail that people got a smile as they saw your name come across the screen, even though they couldn't take it. You see some people answering and you having a great conversation. And you even hear people going, thank God you called. We're getting ready to sell our house and I was thinking about you, but I couldn't find your number. See the connections that you're making. Drop right down into the event so you're seeing it through your own eyes. Now you're really feeling the feelings of doing the things, getting it all done, making the R&B take precedent, and things are starting to happen. You are smiling more and more, realizing that you can do this. It's easy, it's simple, it's easy and effortless. You just had to decide. Imagine making that last call at the end of your R&B time block and you turn your phone on. Guess what? People have called you back. That makes you smile. Good job. That feels good. It feels powerful. It feels like you're in control. Everything is going according to plan. You're in charge. You get to set the tone of the day and you're excited because you already feel it working. You're putting out those good vibes into the world and you're getting them back right away. Go ahead and take one more deep breath, inhaling all those great feelings. And you're going to go ahead and float back, all the way back to now, all the way back to now, to you're floating above yourself, sitting where you're sitting. You can see yourself sitting in front of your computer, seeing everything in the room. Gently float down back into your body. And as you do, you're becoming more and more aware of your weight on the seat, more and more aware of your surroundings, taking in that experience and smiling, putting out those good vibes. Get ready to open your eyes in 3, 2, 1. How was that for everybody? Did you go somewhere else? Go ahead and unmute. I want to hear. And speak your truth. It was hard for you to follow. I probably need to know that. Right? Did you go somewhere else? Were you checked out? Were you aware of what's going on in the room, or did you go somewhere else? Go ahead and put yes or no in the chat or unmute.
I stayed in the room. It's
Good job.
Jocelyn. Yes.
Good job. So next week, we're going to release fear, which is one of the first emotions in the gestalt of emotions that we all have and carry. Fear, anger, right? Sorry, I lied. Anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, and shame is the gestalt of emotions. And fear is one of the most common. I don't know that I've ever come across anyone who was honest. Some people are hiding and say, I have no fear. BS. Right? Unless you've done some work. If you've done some work, then yeah, you probably don't have any fear. When I did my own breakthrough session, it was 12 hours. And I would never do this to anybody. 12 hours of that kind of work with a break in between. And it changed my life, but it also was a lot. And then I've realized since then, you can do that 12 hours, but then you live life and things need to be released in layers, right? And as you release things, then you're ready to release other things, right? So your homework is to think of a time The earliest event that you can think of in your life where you felt fear of judgment, fear of not being enough, or fear of judgment, not being enough, or being rejection, fear of rejection. And think of that event. That's part of your homework for next time. You got to come to class with that. All right. Any questions, concerns on anything? Any comments on that? How was that for you? How was your experience?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I found myself resisting the positive feelings when you were bringing us back in and you're
Mhm.
smiling and those positive things, maybe resisting out of fear. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it a little bit more,
Yeah.
but it was interesting. I was absolutely resisting it being enjoyable.
So we could do that process on that event. All right. And a lot of times, depending on your spiritual beliefs, I'm going to ask you to bring in God, higher power, universe, higher self, whatever your beliefs are. And the question will be as you're floating above that first event. So let me tell you two to save time next time. The two weird questions I'm going to ask you next week are, is it okay for your unconscious mind to release this fear and to be aware of that release consciously? If you get a no, then normally on one-on-ones, it just means we need to talk through it. That's going to be hard to do in group, friends. Right? So, and I may say, if you get a no, what do you need to know to make it safe? Right? For instance, if someone is releasing the inability to speak their truth, right? That it's not okay for them, their opinion doesn't matter, and they give me a no, it doesn't feel okay to release that. And I ask, what would you have to know? And their answer is going to be that it's going to be safe. Right? So if people have been in abusive relationships before, it was probably not safe for them to speak their self. If their parents were alcoholics, right? Or abusive, it's not going to feel safe. And so maybe the answer is that you'll be safe. Right? So I'll say that, I'll remind myself, I've never done that. Normally I bring the client out of it, right? And say, let's talk about it, right? Until we get them to a yes, because there's some resistance, and know this key, write this down, you guys, what you resist persists, right? So if you resist talking about something, you're going to learn that lesson, and that experience is going to come up over and over and over again. Right? If you resist releasing fear of rejection and judgment, you're going to continue to be fearful of rejection and judgment. So we could literally do MER on that. Right? And questions to ask yourself are, what would happen if you were allowed to experience joy? I had an experience as a child where I almost got the living daylights beat out of me for laughing at the kitchen table. So it's beat the joy out of the child, right? It wasn't bad intentions, right? But parents are doing the best they can with what they have and know. That may be a learning you get, right? And we'll talk about that at the beginning. Juliet, mark that down in my notes. I need to give sample learnings. I think that'll be important for a group. And so then I ask you that question. Then I ask, if you were to know the first event which caused that feeling, that fear to arise, was it before, during, or after your birth? And you're going to answer to yourself and answer whatever comes up. And then we'll carry on from there. It's going to be interesting in group. I'm excited.
Could you repeat the second question?
If you knew the first event, which when released will cause all of that blank to disappear, whether it's a belief, to the fear, the anger, sadness, the I'm not enough, the limiting statement. So if you knew the first event, which when released will allow all of that blank to disappear easily and effortlessly, was that event before, during, or after your birth? Before, during, or after your birth? I've heard people say during, right? when one parent was not ready for the pregnancy. Right? Or when mothers were very, very young. There's all kinds of stuff that comes up. Right? But have tissues. Eyes will be closed, so no one's staring at you. And if tears come, don't fight them. Tears are the way that God allows us to heal. They were given to us. And I joke that I make grown men cry. And not on purpose, not from a mean place. But men are not exempt from, in fact, men probably need as much, if not more, healing than women, because they're told men don't cry. That's BS. Real men do, right? Yeah, real men cry. And because they were told that, right, they had to suck it up rather than heal. All right, you guys, we're going to end on that note. Appreciate you all. Focus on your 3 things. I want to see those numbers, 15 check boxes on your R&B. You got 15, your 3 R&B things. When we post it next Monday, I want to see 15 across the board for everybody. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.